Wow. Good evening, Southwest District. Good evening. That's a little better. All right. Well, give yourselves a round of applause for being here tonight. Thank you for your patience. Many of you I've met as you were coming in, or certainly members of our team met you as you were coming in. I hope that you have in your hand a survey. If you do not, please raise your hand and we will make sure that someone comes around and gets a survey to you. I'm certain that at the top of that survey you will be writing, please start on time. And so, we are thankful for your patience, and my name is Gus Augustus, and I'll be serving as moderator tonight, and I'd like to go directly into our opening remarks. And Madam Mayor and Commissioner Davis, just wanted to highlight that we have with joining us tonight Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam, who's come out to be a part of tonight's event. Madam Mayor, turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Gus, and I'll make my remarks very brief. I'm just very grateful for everyone being here. Senator, thank you for being here. I'll let the Commissioner talk about the different initiatives that we have going on, but because we did not start on time, I want to leave as much time as possible for questions. So I will defer my comments and yield my time to the Commissioner. Again, thank you all for coming out.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Gus. And we've been doing this across the city, the mayor and her team and the police department for a while now. So I'm going to do a little bit something different with my remarks, and I'm going to ask Police Officer Bucksbaums to come up, if you don't mind, if I can put you on the spot. She didn't know when she started her tour duty tonight that she was going to be here really modeling, and hopefully you guys can see it, if you don't mind, facing the crowd. So what you see Officer Bucksbaums wearing against her dark blue uniform is the
point to it.
Right there is the body-worn camera. So, like, you know, the mayor and her folks and the mayor's work group, there was a diverse group of people, did a lot of work to make sure that when we put this final product on the streets of Baltimore, we're doing it right. So we're piloting 155 body-worn cameras right now in the city in 3 of our 9 district stations, and there's 3 different vendors. We're trying them all out, and by the time we get to February, we're going to select the one that works best for Baltimore, both for the community and the police department. Before we unroll that final product out, we'll have community meetings to make sure people are really more well-versed in what this technology can do for trust and transparency. It's a win-win, I think, for everybody. So I just wanted you guys to take a look at it. If you haven't already seen it, it's really subtle. That's what it looks like. It looks like we're all probably old enough to remember when pagers first came out. It looks like a large pager or a beeper. So that's where you'll see them on our police officers. And they're called body-worn cameras because they don't attach to your glasses or your lapel. They attach to the center of your uniform. Yes, sir. They're with audio. With audio. And we'll talk about it more when we get into the questions and answers, I'm sure, but I want to get the Officer Bucksbaums back to her post, right? Good enough? We're not even asking you to speak. Until next time. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Gus, that's it for me.
Oh, that's it for you? Okay. Well, great. Madam Mayor, did you want to add, or?
No, well, let's get to the questions.
We're going to go directly to the questions. The order, the format. I just have to say, Madam Mayor, that from forums like this, you actually crafted some notes and some ideas about implementing a body camera program. And I just wanted to throw that out, that your comments, your surveys, your feedback is very important. A lot of the things that we get from forums like this, we actually turn into a strategy. Most of the time we hear about sanitation problems when we're at a community public safety forum. And because of that, Madam Mayor has instituted a crime and grime strategy, so that we're
Crime and grime walks.
Crime and grime walks.
It happened way too early in the morning.
Right.
I'm trying to get a crime and grime happy hour around 5 o'clock.
Well, you said after 5, you said that?
After 5.
Okay, yeah, because those are generally like 7:45 a.m. in the morning, and then there are some that are in the evening. So again, we encourage you to give us your feedback. So please, those, we're going to work the room and ask that you come up, keep your comments or questions concise so that we can get to folks who would like to ask a question. How many people here are from the Southwest District? Raise your hand. This is actually my district. Oh, okay, good. Most of you are majority. All right, great. So just raise your hand or just, give us your name. Come up to the mic, give us your name. Yes, sir, in a red Maryland hat. You're not the gentleman. There was a gentleman who had a leather marine coat on earlier. Where's the Marine? Where is? Oh, there he is. Okay, I confused the two. Please join us at the microphone. Give us your name, your neighborhood. Anyone else who would like to join? Yes, ma'am. You in the center? Afterwards. Anyone else? All quiet. We have a gentleman with the tie, and then we can come to you, sir, in the striped shirt. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name's Ronald Sanders, Rawlings Heights area, and I've lived in Baltimore City all 70 years of my life. My family's been here for, I would just say, a duration of almost 200 years. And it's disturbing when you see a city go down progressively like Baltimore City has. And we've become more reactive than proactive. The educational program that I graduated from the Baltimore public school system was rated number 6 in the nation at that time. Where we rated at now, who knows? But my thing is, I see this happening not just in Baltimore City, but other urban areas. But it hurts me to my heart when it's my city. Now, some of the things that I see as far as public safety, and everybody wants to pound on the police, but it's a two-way street there. And my thing is, having been raised in a police family, my father retired from Baltimore City Police Department. After coming out of the service, I spent some time on the police department. And I'm hoping that the new commissioner can regain those things that we used to stand for, where we weren't just police who drove around in patrol cars. We were police officers that the community knew by name. They knew us what hours we worked. They knew we had post integrity, and we were held accountable for those posts. I mean, I don't know how they work it now, whether a police officer is assigned the same post on a daily basis where he can do that, but I think that's something that could be looked into, to where someone can be held accountable. I think accountability is also on the other side with the community, getting to know that police officer, making themselves open to them. Because without that two-way street, nothing will be gained. Our children, they used to have what they call police boys clubs. And it was one of the things where those youngsters who didn't have the money or have that parent, they could go to a police boys club. They participated in football, baseball, but they also got to know the other side of a police officer, that he wasn't just there to grab you if you did something wrong. They were looked upon as that person that they could go to for help, that person that they could depend on if they were to get into trouble, to help them get out of it. And until we reach that point, we're going to go steadily downhill. The educational system. I mean, I look at our high schools now. Half the youngsters don't even go to school. And then when they do finish school, most of them are functionally illiterate. I got out of the service in '75. I went back to school, to college. When I went to college, there were high school graduates who could not functionally read. They had to take remedial reading, remedial math. What's wrong with our system? What's wrong with it? And it's up to us as citizens and also our leaders to make sure that we make that change, because without education and without responsibility and showing to these youngsters that they have to be responsible, nothing's going to change.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Saunders.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Sanders, just to touch really quickly, that post integrity means a whole lot to me and to other leaders here. And you all probably recognize Colonel Mel Russell, who is the commander of our Community Collaboration Division, and your assistant district commander in the Southwest, Captain Holman. We're here. We grew up with that same post integrity, so we got away from posts for a little bit. By the end of this calendar year, police posts will be back in Baltimore. We're revising a little bit and tweaking it, but by the end of this calendar year, police posts will be back. We're introducing a curriculum in our police academy called Community Foot Patrol. And I'm guessing you probably joined the department when there were still a whole lot of foot patrol going on. So we're going to teach it. And the art form of Community Foot Patrol is as important, or if not more important, than the science of foot patrol. And it really has to do with communication skills. So we're going to teach Community Foot Patrol. And it's something that we're going to be, I think a year from now, we'll be able to highlight it across this country. Nobody's doing it. And in terms of police explorers, that boys club mentality, and if it wasn't for boys clubs, I don't know where I would be in life. But this school, under Principal Cole Weber, who is here tonight, someone parked in her space. I don't think it was me. You have not, don't have that car towed, please. So Principal Cole Weber, thank you, because in short order, the principal and Colonel Russell have teamed up. This will be kind of the headquarters for all police explorers in the joint training that they're going to do together, and they're going to do it here at this very school. Until we centralized the police explorers under Mel Russell, they were in 9 different districts doing 9 different things. And while that's okay to a degree, they're still going to be in 9 different districts, but they're going to have a more uniform approach to what they do under Colonel Russell, and they're going to train here at this school. So we're excited about that. And then this school, wherever you see the Police Explorers program, you're going to see Officer Friendly. So we're up to 9 schools now where a new Officer Friendly program is being reintroduced. And again, that's also under Colonel Mel Russell. So we're excited about some things that we got going on. We're not standing still. And all those things that worked in the past, Foot Patrol, Officer Friendly, all those things, we're taking them off the shelf, dusting them off a little bit, and making them fit into 2015 and beyond. So I hear you, Mr. Sanders.
And before we go to the next question, I just want to thank you, Mr. Sanders, for recognizing what's obvious but not always recognized, is that it is a partnership. And there is very little we can do without both sides of that partnership being engaged and being committed, and that's the police and the community. So I appreciate you being here and for your comments.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Mrs. Smith from the Southwest Better Neighborhood Association.
Yes, ma'am.
And my questions are, first I want to say that I called 311 about the rats in my area, and they did respond like they said they would and told us what we had to do, so we were thankful for that. And my next things are, the gentleman talked about education. I'm wondering what the city can do or offer up for some of these young men that are just standing 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day, the same spot, day after day. I remember hearing my mother say when she was a child, they had something like the something corps, and they would go around and offer up work daily basis to young people or anybody that wanted to do some work. I'm wondering if something like that could be done to get some of these young people off the street on a daily basis. You see people doing it at some of the big stores. They'll come up and people are waiting there, and the contractors will come up and say, "Are you looking for work in there?" Say, "Yeah." They'll take them off. I don't know what the responsibility of the city would be, but I feel if we would get some of our young people off the street, that the crime in the city would not be as great as it is, because I live in an area where I see good things and bad things, and we're trying to hold our community together. And we have a lot of walkthroughs that don't care about us, what we're fighting for. So I feel if the young people had something to do, and I already spoke about the rats, the trash, seems like it's getting a little better in some of the areas that I travel through the city. I travel through the city a lot, and I see a little improvement in the trash. And the curfew, is that working at all? The curfew. I can sit in my house at night and see 7, 8, and 9-year-olds out after 10 o'clock. And I guess it's the responsibility of the parent that make that child come home, but they are not going home. I can some nights go out and put my finger on, and I know they're young children because a child 10 is watching a child 5 or 6. So if the child is 10 is out, then naturally the 5 or 6-year-old is out. So those are my concerns for my neighborhood that I have been in for 42 years, and we're trying to hold on, and that's the Edgewood Carter off of
Edgewood Carter,
Allendale,
off Allendale.
back off of Emerson Avenue. And I want to also thank the city for improving Emerson Avenue. Thank you.
Ms. Smith, thank you very much for coming out and for your commitment to the city. I often say if we had more people like you, engaged and committed, we wouldn't have as many of the challenges that we have. With respect to the opportunities for our young men, I often say that we certainly need more opportunities, but I also believe that we need better connections between the opportunities that we have and individuals that need those opportunities. And that's why we do things like this. We have the forums where you can get access to information. We had here the cabinet community. We had
Yes.
here as well, where we had all of the resources that are out there. So in my mind, the more we spend time not just in City Hall, but in the community having these conversations, the more we'll have the opportunity to connect people to the resources. I can just tell you about one of the things that I've done over the past year to try to connect those young men that you were talking about with opportunity. In the Park Heights neighborhood, there was a manufacturing training facility that was closing. The owner of the facility decided to close, and I thought that it was a shame that it was closing because it would be a good resource for many in our community. The young people that you're talking about are often called disconnected youth. And I worked with a not-for-profit out of Chicago. We had some help from the state and my mayor's office of employment development, and in my office, the economic and neighborhood development team worked to reopen that regional manufacturing skills center in partnership with the organization called JARC, is Jane, I think, Allen Resource Center. And now, instead of having a closed facility, we have a manufacturing training facility that has a job placement rating in the high 90s that is open for people regardless of their background. They have to be committed to come into the program. They have to be on time, ready to work, and even if they have a criminal background, they're welcome to be a part of this. And because of the placement, because people know it's not just training for training's sake, but there's a job at the other end of the opportunity, it is a successful model. So that's just one of the things that we're doing. But I think a lot of it is about making sure that people understand what those options are, understanding that you can call 211 and find out about resources. You can call the Mayor's Office of Employment Development or go to one of our one-stop shop and find out about not just jobs within the city, but also the private sector jobs that are available in the city, because we work with employers to help identify talent for them. So for me, it's about making sure people understand all the different resources that are out there so we can connect the people to the need.
Yes, sir. In the tie, the gentleman in the striped shirt. Oh, I'm sorry, Senator, I didn't see you. Okay.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioner Davis. My name is Bernard Hudnell, and I'm representing Pastor Rodney T. Morton of the Central Baptist Church, 2035 West Baltimore Street.
Can you give us your last name again, sir? I'm sorry.
Hudnell, H-U-D-N-A-L-L.
Got it.
And I'm on the security detail for the church.
Mm-hmm.
We have some specific problems. I'm going to try to make this concise. That we are what's called a tri-district. We are in Central, Southwest, and Western. The front of the church on Baltimore Street is considered Western District. Pulaski Street on the side of the church is considered Southwest. When we have problems and we try to call, we don't get a lot of response because the dispatchers don't know who to send. Now, we were able to secure a portable spotlight unit on the side of the church. Out of several months, it's only been activated about a total of a week. My initial contact person was an interim Captain Jones at Southwest. We had a conversation, and he said at the beginning of every shift that someone would come out and turn the lights on. That has not happened, and I don't know if he's still there or not. Okay, what's the problem is we have a tremendous amount. We've had, within a 6 square block area, we've had a number of murders, we've had a number of shootings. We post our details a block away from each church. We are not a drive-in Sunday church. We have a lot of outreach programs, food pantry, clothing, things that we do. So we are fully invested within the community. But our problem is we have people who, I'm afraid I don't feel comfortable now. Everything we have at night, people are straying away from. We have installed additional outside lighting on the church. Our church bus has been vandalized twice. Okay, we've had other problems. So what we are in need of is someone on a consistent basis, Western, Southwestern, please operate the lights. DPW has come out, they make sure the lights are fueled, but if nobody turns them on, we're in daylight savings time now. Okay, we have a lot of nighttime activities. So therefore, that is essential. We also, we have a problem that at Hollins and Pulaski, Hollins and Payson has again become a major drive-up drug distribution point. Now, we have members who live in the community, certain people we can talk to and say something and respect. We stop them because we have a bus stop, you know, that they were trying to use the bus stop. We stopped that. What's happened is one essential thing that would help. Between the hours of 9:30 and 1:30, there are 10 churches clustered all together. If we could have foot patrol or even somebody posted in a car that could come and be highly visible. We do a lot of escorts to people to their vehicles, and we're limited. We can't do everybody. But if just that presence to make people
And you're talking
feel
about on Sundays?
on Sundays. On Sundays is the prime day, on Sundays. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. I know that the commissioner's already signaling to people that he has someone that's going to follow up to make sure that we have a consistent person, we have a consistent assigned person assigned to turn those lights on. I know how hard you work to make sure that that got there. So thank you for your continued partnership.
Thanks. And Mr. Hudnell, Captain Holman is right here. He's the assistant commander of the Southwestern District. He's right in the front row.
I believe he's actually in the Western District.
It's in 3 different. Okay. So between the two of you guys, it's yours. Okay. You got him. Okay. So just share information. Just problem solve that, and we'll cover it.
All right, looks like we will have that issue. Yes, ma'am, in the red, I did see your hand, but no, I'm sorry. No. The gentleman here in the striped shirt, before you took this seat, unfortunately, there were several people who we called upon, and you will be after Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam. Yes, sir, your name. By the way, speaking of towers, Commissioner, and we do have the answer why. Where's Mr. Hartnell? There are 2 towers in the parking lot right now, and it says Baltimore City Police on the side of them. They're actually operated by the school police, though. Those aren't. And I just want, and because of daylight savings time, there is a change in the shift in when someone turns the lights on. So those that may be asking, well, you have a dark tower right there in the parking lot, 2 of them. That's the reason why. Yes, sir. Your name and your community.
Good afternoon. My name is Adrian Mitchell, and I am the chairperson for the Edgewood Improvement Association. A couple concerns we have in our community. The first one is we're trying to get speed limit signs in our community, because they check our part of the neighborhood as like it's a runway, and they're flying up and down the street late at night. It's real dark in the neighborhood, so it's kind of hard to see once it gets dark. So, that creates a lot of, little hit and runs that be actually going on, creates opportunity hitting the children, because they come running down the street in these cars, and a lot of the streets are one way, and they're really tight, especially between Hilton and Mount Holly in that corridor. So we're trying to get speed limit lights in that area. I see once you get up past Wildwood Parkway, you start to see speed limit signs up there, but there's nothing in that area to kind of, because I've got a couple letters where community residents are trying to get speed bumps to try and slow down the traffic. But I understand how hard it is to get the speed bump, but we can at least get the speed limit signs. We can actually start getting them on speeding up and down our street. And the second thing I wanted to, kind of bring to the attention was I was trying to get a boxing team in the community. And I know last time they had a forum, somebody from Parks and Recreation came in, and she was saying that what they could do is bring the boxers to the gym, and then they're gonna ride them over across town to actually represent in another gym. And I don't think that's fair that we will take and bus a group of local community residents across town to another gym because they do have a facility over there. Was trying to get something in the community. I know everybody can't play basketball, everybody can't play football, and there's a lot of aggression out there, and I think boxing would be one of the things that can, let them be able to beat up on each other in a positive way, because I'm also...
Depends on if you're a winner or loser, though, but go ahead.
Yeah, correct. And I'm actually an official for the Amateur Boxing Association in Baltimore area. So there is a lot of boxing that's actually going on in the community, getting kids off the street. And I go to a lot of gyms, and a lot of kids will come and hide in the gym. They can't really afford to come to the gym, but they'll come into the gym because it's a safe haven. They know at least if they're coming in there, there might be a lot of boxing going on, but they ain't got to worry about getting shot, getting mugged, or things like that. So we could get something like that in this community, not in this community shipped to another community, but get something in this community to kind of, work around that. That's all I have. Thank you.
So Mr. Mitchell, first, thank you for coming out. And I think what you heard from Recreation and Parks was a way to get you to your goal. And when I say that, I think everybody is clear that we don't, Baltimore City or very few cities have enough resources to put every program in every place. But as the person from Recreation and Parks was saying, what we do have is a program that is popular, a program that can help you develop an interest in this community, build up a number of people, so then we have that are in this community that are interested. So then, as Recreation and Parks is making up their budget and determining, how to appropriate funds to meet the needs of the community, that it's clear that there are a bunch of young people from this area who are interested in participating in boxing. So you can, by introducing them, you say busing, but by introducing them to this program, it creates an interest, and it is a pathway to expanding the program. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying, but
You just want it done yesterday, which is true. I think it's every.
it's not about being done yesterday. By me being affiliated with boxing in the community, I see every part of, 3 portions of the city have boxing teams. But this is the only area between North Avenue and Cherry Hill that don't have any, sort of boxing. I go all over, Maryland to boxing, but this is the only portal in the city of Baltimore that don't have a boxing team nowhere in
I get it because you're here, but there's something. I have a whole. There's a whole city council district that doesn't have one single recreation center. So the challenge is to try to make sure that we are being effective and efficient with our resources. And when Recreation and Parks was talking about how to develop a program, it was laying out the steps for how to get there. I'm not disputing what you're saying about the interest, but we're not going to be able to flip a switch and get a program here. I think by talking about the way that you can introduce the young people and grow the interest and lay the foundation for expanding the program is, I think, the way to get there. It's not saying that it's not going to happen. It is, we are laying out the way to get to that goal of expanding boxing programs. I understand the value of boxing in the lives of young people. That's why, we didn't just offer free summer camp, but I think over 30 locations throughout the city. But we also made sure that we offered free boxing memberships to young people at Upton Boxing, so we could introduce a new generation of young people to boxing. Yes, some of them have aggression and they want to find a constructive way to blow it off, but some of them want to learn about physical fitness, want to learn about that a lot of people think boxing is just a physical thing, but there's a significant mental component to that as well that's being trained at Upton Boxing. We wanted to introduce the young people to that. So I hope that you remain committed to working with Recreation and Parks towards meeting your goal of expanding boxing into this community, and understand that the answer that you were given wasn't wasn't the end of the story. It was a way to get you to that goal.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Senator Nathan Pulliam, and then young lady in the red, gentleman in the black jacket, and I just saw a hand. Oh, gentleman in the pink. Yes, ma'am. Sorry the mic isn't cordless. We would have preferred to have that, but.
I'd rather have the citizens
Yes, ma'am.
of the 44th District and 41st, I'm sure, that's here tell you their problems and issues. But I have Madam Mayor, Commissioner Davis, Mr. Master of Ceremonies, and to all of the constituents that are here. I'm Senator Shirley Nathan Pulliam, and I represent the 44th District. I have 3 precincts: Western, Central, and Southwest. And when I go to community meetings, I hear consistently, I'm going to ask 2 questions and make a statement and sit down. Okay, you can answer me. One of the questions, one of the things that come up at each one of those meetings is not enough. It's a shortage, and I know you have a shortage of police officers. What I wanted you to probably indicate what mechanism you're doing in terms of recruitment to try to get more officers on the street. Okay, because that's what in Irvington and Beachfield and all the other communities that I've gone to their meeting, that is a consistent question. And the other problem that I've had in calling Southwest, and I know I haven't been able to track down Colonel Watson because you've been busy, and obviously the officer at the desk may not have told you that I've called the station several times about the drug task force. And I wanted to talk to the drug task force about the drug problems in the area. I have my business office and my senator office is right across the street at 4200 at the corner. Behind the building and around, there's so much trafficking many times that the place smells of urine. because they just use the parking lot and everything. We just need some more visibility around there. The neighbors that live up Woodington Road is complaining, and they're coming to my office to see what can I do to help them, although that's the 41st district. However, my office still sits there. Okay, I just wanted to see if you can answer that for me. And maybe I've been working with Central and with Western Central. I know that I think it's Major Marcus. He calls me every now and then when I call him and leave the messages on his phone about drug trafficking issues going on down by where Payne Memorial Church, which is part of my district as well. So he and I have been communicating, but I just need to get a better communication of what's happening on this side. And finally, and it would be good if there was an answering service or something on that you could actually leave a good message. You know, when you call to speak to somebody, the drug task force or the neighborhood groups. Okay. The other thing is, I think last week, I attended the graduation for the Safe and Sound program. It's called the Public Safety Compact, have the Safe and Sound wraparound program. And there were 68 citizens that graduated. Of the 68, this is a program, I don't know if everybody know, the program takes in those inmates who are released that after they have served 5 years in prison. And it's a wraparound for drug treatment, for housing, and for jobs, and of course getting connected with their family. It was a wonderful feeling to be in a room with all of the men and women who were graduating and how excited the families were. And I was able to speak to them as a mother and as a legislator and as a nurse in terms of the issues that they've gone through. But what was most disturbing is that the governor ended that program on October 31st. I've sent letters to the governor and to the lieutenant governor and to the Secretary of Correction and also to Secretary of Budget and Management. And I've been encouraging everyone to send letters. So all of you, I think I gave out the governor's, I don't have his, I gave out the email address and phone numbers asking everyone to send a letter, call, do whatever you can to clog up the lines to say that we've got to do better. We cannot close a program that is that vital. And I know, Commissioner, that you have a bigger job coming ahead because you have about 200 more citizens or more coming out of federal to our state and to the city in this week or so, or this week to next week. So I'm asking you to answer, if you can answer the first two, and I know whatever you can do in writing letters as well to help us with the Safe and Sound. Thank you.
So, Senator, thank you, and I'll quickly address your questions and concerns, ma'am. So we have a recruiting and retention committee right now on the agency, and we're looking to keep the experience we have on board. So that's the retention part of it, and we have some sophisticated recruiting that we're going to embark upon now. Police departments across the country have kind of gotten lazy over the last 5 or 6 years because most young people look at the internet and they apply online to police departments, but we still have to go out and touch people physically and you know, put a name with a face. So we have a new HR director that just started a week ago, and of her many tasks, I've asked her to do something bigger and better with our recruiting. And when I talk about recruiting, I'm talking first about local recruiting. So that Explorers program that I mentioned earlier, that absolutely has to be a pipeline to this police department. And Colonel Russell is taking it on to make sure that that pipeline isn't clogged up unnecessarily. We just graduated a police academy class recently. We have 2 more in the academy now, and we're hiring another one right now. So that hiring is taking place. We have a new director of our police training academy, and he's moving at a pace now that I'm satisfied with, and he recognizes, and we recognize the urgency of attracting young people. Our detectives that we assign to federal task forces, to the federal law enforcement agencies. We assigned the most detectives from Baltimore to a drug task force with the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA. So before we leave, I'll make sure, I think I've got a pretty good idea of the area you're talking about with the drugs, and we'll make sure we get that addressed. And if you ever have any challenges, Senator, or if anyone in here ever has any challenges leaving messages for police officers or detectives and they go unanswered, that's why we have folks who wear rank insignia on their collars and on their sleeves. Bump that up the food chain, and don't hesitate ever to because you all should have, and you probably already do, have that relationship with your districts. So if you're not happy with something, you don't have to wait for it to fester. Go to the top, and we'll address it. That's really what we're here for.
Can I just say one quick thing about on the crime? I feel like tonight.
So we're recording this, so that's to make sure that, there are several people, I'm sure, that weren't able to come out, and we want to make sure that this is
I'm doing
recorded.
pretty good without my cane. Many of you know I had total knee replacements. I've been hobbling around in a cane. So I'm trying to walk without the cane. I'm just
You're doing a fantastic job.
Most women don't want to walk around with a cane. You'll do it because you absolutely have to. But night before last night, because I said I have a business there, our van was stolen. I've been moving my van, and my son is the executive director of the extended family. We move our vans off that lot and try to take it someplace and have people take it home because they were breaking, taking the mirrors off the side, breaking into the van. So we decided I'd take it home. So the other night it was taken home, and of course they not only broke into the van, they stole the van. Okay, we found the van on Grantley, Wayne? On Grantley, down the street. And of course they had hit another car, smashed a woman's car, messed up the whole van. The screwdriver, after they broke out the glass, the screwdriver they put into ignition, of course, the ignition, it's no good. The van is total, and it's a wheelchair van, so it's an expensive van. And so, which means that we have to rent vans this week, which is a more expensive business when you have a small business. And we hire everybody from Baltimore City in that business. And so it's really, maybe we'd like to get a better understanding of the stats without me wasting the time sitting on a computer trying to pull them up. If we could get a better as to what's happening with the number of burglaries and handgun usage in the area.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
Hey, Captain Holman, I know you're multitasking, but you'll hook up with the senator.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Mr. Augustus, who's after the young woman in red?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And then who we're going to go
the gentleman
to?
in the, are you still asking questions, sir? Yes, on the black. And we'll go to the gentleman in the pink.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioner Davis.
Good evening.
Thanks to the nice young man that called me from the office, the mayor's office, because I didn't get a chance to talk to you, Stephanie. This is my third time. The last time I saw you, we were in Lexington Market. Anyway, you go surprise, I'll be right behind you. Now,
Don't tell anybody what I was ordering.
I ain't gonna tell nobody, that's me. Commissioner Davis, how I met being fouled, I caught him in Annapolis at the assembly. I just jumped right out at him, scared him half to death. But he sit and listen, and he assigned me a detective from his office. That was in 2011. I called you. You said you can call the chief. I'm a Native American, I like to talk to chiefs. I called you. I want to talk about the Southwest District. It's the best district. I come from New York. I've been here 8 years. In the 8 years, if the cop don't get out the car to walk to me, I can walk to him. I'm 77. I know every one of the cops that are on Edmondson Avenue at Lyndhurst. If they come in the morning, I'm on them. My camera is watching them. In case they get in trouble or the crook get in trouble, I've got the camera. Nothing happens on Edmondson until I go to sleep at 12 o'clock. When my lights go
Stay
out,
up later.
I want to thank these cops. I'm going to send you the 20 names because I said them on to, I think Mr. Gus should call me. I said it on it. But these cops, all you have to do is walk to the car. If they can't come out, you go to them. I'm crazy about every one of them. And one of your chiefs, D'Souza,
Oh, Lord. Yes, she could.
he couldn't be a better man. I am very happy with him. Now, you put a new major. We don't call him major, so I get confused. You had a new major, Conway. Love him from the time I spoke to him. I don't think you're supposed to be in that seat. I know 10 people don't call you a day. One person a day from the neighborhood will make you feel good. I live in the 3900 block. I'm a certified school volunteer. I cook for St. Bernardine for the bereaved. I volunteer at Bart's. I'm the neighborhood grandmother. I'm the neighborhood great-grandmother. On the even side of the 3900, it only takes one or two. Get off my stoop. Don't throw your liquor bottle up there. I do from the 3900 to 3940. On my side, we don't have any drug selling. In my alley, I had adopted, we don't have no drug selling. I have a wolf. I have a Doberman. The Doberman does the work in the daytime. You don't come in that alley when them yellow eyes are looking at you. And I have a speaker that says, don't run. If you run, my wolf can climb that fence faster than you can run. Don't run, he thinks you're something to eat. I think you got the best, I don't care what anybody says, you got 20 cops that I can vouch for. And I might send them a little something over there on the side, food waste, because I have a chef in my family. I'm very happy. Now that's a part of the police station. The nursery. We have a Catholic school. We have Lyndhurst. We have Rognell. I went to the state. I asked them to put me up a caution light. That was 5 years ago. It never flashed. From Lyndhurst, from Allendale to the top of the hill. Starts with a W. When you get to that top of the hill, they're trying to beat that light.
Wildwood Parkway? Or what?
Wildwood Parkway. I sat in my garden and counted, because my eyes move very fast. I counted 40 cars talking cell phones. I want to thank that little undercover cop that I saw on television that said on his dummies, it says, I'm not homeless. I'm an undercover cop. I'm here to write you cell phone tickets. He did 59. I bet you can do 100 from Allendale to the top of that hill. We need some help. They told me they were going to get me the traffic light back. It was knocked down by an accident. We've had one child killed there in the 3900, brutally killed. Every time they have an accident, it's in front of my door. Every time. I have a medium that the Parks Department said I could take care of. I do the weeding. They knocked the tree down, the car flew over, they didn't bust up the medium. We don't have no signs. All the traffic signs are broke, and you never replace them. A lot of illegal turning in the street. We need help.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you didn't give us your name. Did you give us your name?
I say Dorita G. Chapman. I'm gonna give you my whole address too.
No, you don't have to give us your address. No, the only reason I'm saying that is because it's a public forum. And yes.
No, we're just saying this is recorded.
Yes.
And so, Ms. Chapman, thank you very much for coming out. I can only pray that at 77 I have half of your energy, maybe a third of your quick eyes, and just a portion, just a smidgen of your enthusiasm. I want to thank you for coming out, and we certainly I'll let the commissioner talk to your public safety concerns, and I know Gus is going to assign someone from our office to make sure that we follow up with you. What we do a lot of times after these forums, when we have something like this, is we assign somebody to come out and actually walk with you to take a look at the issues, so we can do that as well.
Gentleman right there.
Don't come yet, Mr. Larry, because the commissioner still has to talk to this young woman.
Plus, he's afraid of wolves, so I'm just telling you. He ain't coming to you yet, no.
So, Mr. Chapman, I was going to ask you if you wanted an application to the police department. So,
Guess what? I graduated from the New York City Police.
well, I got no doubt. But thank you for what you do, and you actually inspire us. You really do. So I'm looking forward to going down to that 3900 block and maybe sitting down with you one day. Okay.
Wow.
Pink shirt.
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. 77 years young. That's awesome. Yes, sir. Name and then community that you represent.
Good evening, Commissioner, Madam Mayor. My name is Adam Jackson from an organization, Leaders of the Beautiful Struggle. I'm from Northwest Baltimore. I currently live in the Central or Southwest District, along Lombard and Martin Luther King Boulevard.
You're right.
But I want to echo some of the sentiment kind of expressed already and then ask a specific question specifically to the mayor. So generally speaking, kind of conventional wisdom is if you improve the quality of life of a community, there'll be less crime, less violent activity. And I think that's kind of what people have been talking about, more programming for young folks, so forth, anti-violence programs. And so one thing that's interesting for me as a person that leads a grassroots organization in Baltimore, specifically that deals with young people, is that we don't have access to the resources typically, and the people that we're competing with to get grant money or public support are typically nonprofit organizations or foundations that are controlled by people who are not of and from the community. And so from our perspective, you're talking about public safety, you know, if a third of the city budget every fiscal year is public safety, we were thinking like, well, what is the public investment in programs, organizations that are of and from Baltimore? And you know, I mean, folks like Munir Bahar with the 300 Man March and, you know, Safe Streets, they get federal funding. I just saw they got more federal funding to do their programming. And so the question I have is, would your office be willing to invest publicly more in grassroots community organizations, people who are of and from the community, to do the types of programming necessary to stop violence? Because I think that the city can't pay for everything, but I think that typically what I come in contact, because I represent a bunch of folks who have organizations, have infrastructure, have people who want to do work, but they don't have access to the resources. And public investment would be really, really crucial for us to do more of our work more positively. So just wondering what your perspective is in terms of public investment in grassroots community organizations that are in these aggrieved communities.
First, thank you. Can I ask you how old you are?
27.
So I think it's amazing, and I'd love to see young people who are engaged and looking for solutions and willing to do the hard work of improving their community. I agree that grassroots organizations are a vital component to transforming communities. In the budget process of the last fiscal year, so the budget was just about baked when we had the riots and the unrest in Baltimore. But because the budget was just about done, but we hadn't had a final vote, what I did through the budget process was work with the city council president and many members of the city council to try to identify additional resources that we could focus specifically for programming for young people. So above and beyond everything that we did in this year's budget, we added $4.2 million for programming for young people. And specific to your concern about grassroots organizations, we specifically identified over $1 million of that 4.2 to go just to what you were saying, to organizations that are of and from the community, those that need capacity building so you can compete on a level playing field with more established foundations. And we ask Associated Black Charities to be the fiscal agent of that, to help work with organizations that you're, like the ones that you're talking about, that want to do that work. So if you have not been placed in contact with them to talk about what's available, I will make sure that you have that information this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. You know, it's good to hear from, yes, ma'am, with your, oh, then gentlemen, yes, sir, you can come on up. To hear from a young person talking about public safety from a preventive. Any other young people that I just want to make sure we include? You know what, you had your hand up after Mr. Jackson, didn't you? Tell you what, no, you know, if you can come on up. I know you had your hand up after Adam. Sir, after young lady here, and then we'll get you. I'm sorry, you didn't have your hand up. Okay.
Good evening. So I'm Michaela Gilliam-Price. I'm sure you know me. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a student activist and organizer and the founder of City Block, which is one of the only student grassroots organizations here in Baltimore City. And we were also the lead organization that headed the City Hall shutdown that happened just a few weeks ago. And I just wrote down exactly what I wanted to say so I could keep it succinct for you all's time. We had only 3 demands. One was specifically for you, Commissioner Davis, which had 19 points. And since I know that you place a lot of value on getting straight to the point and confronting issues where they stand, I have a very simple question. And that is simply, why are you so comfortable with lying? And then not only why are you comfortable with lying, but then why are you also comfortable with standing in front of a room of your constituents and acting like you care? Because it seems very familiar and very like you've done this before, specifically with a group of minors who were only looking for you to engage us in our political opinions and our political agency, which you failed to do on multiple accords. So we came to meet with you on your territory at City Hall, and you disrespected us there by allowing your vote to continue where you did not engage the students whatsoever. You then left the building while we occupied City Hall for 10 hours after that. And then you had 16 people arrested, 3 of whom were minors, one of which was me. Those 3 minors were all between the ages of 16 and 17 years old. We're all in the process of applying for colleges, and you had us arrested, right? So while we could be applying for colleges right now, we're dealing with the fact that we were criminalized for voicing our political opinions. So that's something that we should take note of. And then after making a statement, after you made a statement saying that you respected the voices of protesters, you did nothing to protect our voices in that space that is made for political opinions, specifically of those who are disenfranchised and underrepresented, like the youth in Baltimore City. And I think that's extremely telling of you as a public servant, and that's simply me saying that you should not be a public servant at all. And then when we met you halfway once more that Sunday, you agreed to each and every point. You even added a point of your own, so that makes 20 points that you said that you would enforce within the Baltimore community. And you said yourself that you would be making a public statement by noon the next day. And you sat there with the same familiar fake concerned face that you have right now, which is surprisingly convincing, and you lied to each of us in the house of the Lord, which I think to Mr. Russell is extremely poignant. And it's not because you are human and you make mistakes that you just forgot to make a public statement and that you should be given the benefit of the doubt. No, that's not why that happened. You lied because you are a liar, and you have made a pattern out of lying to people who you should be representing.
Continue on with your...
No, absolutely. I think this is very important. So if you can in no way be held accountable by the city that you serve, and you cannot be held true to your word, I don't know how you want to be a strong commissioner for this city. And then not only did you make multiple awful decisions with a global audience that Wednesday in City Hall, but you cannot even put up with the criticisms that followed that when you had police threaten to pull out riot gear, when we had over 40 children, students, high school students, protesting the following Monday that you refused to make that public statement. So before I get to my actual question, I just wanted to know if the people who are between the ages of 12 and 20 could stand in this room. Right, and that's the problem. So yet when we, the youth, those people who are between the ages of 12 and 25 years old, were at City Hall, and we had 32 young people there, you had no words for us. And when we sat before you in a private meeting, you did have words for us, but then you lied to us. And then when we had over 40 students at City Hall the next Monday, you still had no words for us. So it seems a little curious that you've never been able to speak once to the youth who have taken time out of their schedules, when once again, we could have been applying for college, we could have been preparing and studying for our full IB classes, to respond to a simple question. And everyone in this room should take note of that. So while I have many questions, I think what I'm really asking you is how much do you want your job, and how do you expect to keep it with students like the Block Around, who have now brought global attention to the circus you are running in this city, where you have lied to minors multiple times about what you can do to save our lives.
Thank you, Ms. Price.
So, Michaela, it's good to see you again, and thank you for your thoughtful comment. I hear everything that you're saying, and as a father of 4 teenagers, and listen, you're a smart young person, and I think you're going to do great things in your future. And the fact that you are so civic-minded and so interested in your government getting better is something that I applaud. So while you may perceive our relationship right now to be imperfect, I'm pledging to you that I'm committed to working on that relationship. So I hope to talk to you and sit down with you one time again in the near future. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Harold Burris. I'm from the, Ramblewood community, 4th District. Born and raised in the Cherry Hill community. And I have a plan to create a positive image of Baltimore on the internet and on social media. I believe that a lot of the stories about Baltimore are negative, and I think we could tell positive stories of Baltimore. Just like in this community. People are born and raised in this community. People have lived in this community. People, just average people, who have done positive things in this community. And we need to tell those stories. The world needs to tell the stories. And that's why, for example, the internet, social media, YouTube, have viewership of about 1 billion people. And I think we should tell positive stories using sort of a mini documentary type of format. And I would like to partner with you, Madam Mayor, in telling these positive stories.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You were actually one of the first people here other than Ms. Jackson, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson, Adam Jackson, and the lady in the back, young lady from Wicklow Road, lives on the street that I saw another hand. I just want to see if there are any other, yes, sir. I knew I saw a hand right here. Mr. Hunt, is your hand up also? Ms. Thomas is, okay, right after the gentleman. Yes, sir, please. Got you.
If I knew better, I thought it was getting old. First of all, congratulations to the commissioner. Glad that's finally done. I guess we attended one of your academy classes, policing for leaders. Enjoyed that.
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of things. I do live in Southwest, just down the street a little bit. One of the concerns that I have, I guess for the mayor more than for the commissioner, but we need to lead by example, and in this case in particular that concerns me is right down the road here. At some point a deal was made with, I think, New Psalmist Church, and the city ended up owning a lot of property. And New Psalmist did a much better job of maintaining it than the city has done. One of the houses is now up on vacants to value. It's identified as historical, and the advertising said it should be restored appropriately. But in the whole time the city's had it, it's been allowed to get overgrown and more dilapidated. So that's not a good way to lead and on property. So just bring that up because it does become an issue for rodents, place for drugs to be sold on the corner, etc. And the similar thing in properties in the neighborhood, and I know there's a better way, but I'm not sure what. I live just over here in 10 Hills. We have one property that's been empty for 6 years. I've got correspondence just on email with your office back to that time, At one point, it went to auction, and somebody waved their hand after the house sold and said, wait, we have a lien on it. So we had to reset and start over again. And so I'm not quite sure, and it appears to be from housing that there's an implication that a person who moved out of the house, lives in Delaware now, somehow still has a dog in the fight on a house that's been empty for 6 years. There was going to be something happen on October 7th in housing court to get it back on the market. Someone failed to file paperwork. So it's now going to be December 2nd. So this is not the way to keep a neighborhood looking like we care. And we really do care. And it is a source, a place where squatting has been reported to me. I have not personally seen it, but it's been reported. And we do work well with Southwest, with the captain here, acting commander. And again, we've had opportunity to bail out on short notice. We showed up in a prayer circle with the commissioner up on North Avenue after the kid got grazed a couple of months ago. So we do try to respond to the community out there at the cemetery for the annual fire and police thing when it was hotter than the hinges of hell. And so anyway, we do try to work two-way street on this stuff, but again, a little more leading by example in some of these things like properties that the city owns. So I think that's basically sort of it. And one other point is, and I'm not a lawyer, I volunteer at one of the courthouses a couple of half days a week, but I'm not a lawyer, don't play one on TV. But on the whole dirt bike thing, I don't want to forget the fact that most of the dirt bikes are not legally owned, is my impression. Anything we go to move towards an activity, are we going to register illegal bikes? Are we going to ask for proof of purchase? You know, at some point, we don't want to be aiding and abetting illegal activity for a short-term gain, because we're still rewarding bad activity. So there's got to be some sort of a solution. I retired from the federal government. I understand federal bureaucracies and state bureaucracies. My wife retired from the state. So I understand the challenges of bureaucracy. And I applaud 98% of the work that gets done in the city. And we just need to work on that other couple of percent. Appreciate it.
So first, thank you for, thanks for coming out. And you know, I agree you know, that my goal has been to lead by example. But I, you know, like any other, I should say this. I've never pretended that my administration is perfect. And when we have issues, we'd like to address them. And the properties around New Psalmist are definitely properties that need attention. And I'll ensure that my team follows up with you and gets you an answer. I know that at the Cabinet Community, housing was here. You know, to answer those types of questions, because this is a public safety forum, I didn't invite housing to be a part of that. That being said, I can certainly get a follow-up answer with you on those properties. And you know, your point is very well taken, and we strive when we fall short in our obligations to be good stewards. You know, to meet that obligation, we strive to correct it, and I'll strive to do that in this case. And to your point about the dirt bikes, the complexity of the issue is not lost on me. I understand that we potentially are going down a slippery slope when it comes to engaging with people who involve themselves in illegal activity, because the solution is only a solution when those individuals as a group commit to doing something different, to doing something safe. The challenge is that they're not like a political party. There's no leadership. There's no platform. There's no way to get a full commitment from the group that if there is an agreement that we're going to have a sanctioned activity or have a sanctioned area, that it will eliminate the problem of the very risky behavior of dirt bike riding. So I know that many members of my administration have had conversations with certain members of that community to try to see if there's a way to reduce the harm. I mean, we've lost lives in these accidents. We have I think a 7 or 8 year old child that had significant head injuries as a result of a dirt bike accident. So we know it is a serious challenge that needs a resolution. But I mean, the points that you made are just a part of the complexity in dealing with that. So we still are in communication, but it's really, I have yet to see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor and Commissioner, I bring greetings from Rosemont Neighborhood Improvement Association. And my neighbors, Mr. Martin and his wife, Pam, Robert Hunt, I know you know. My name is Roseanne Thomas. We deal with the cleanup for the mayor every year, and Miss Martin, her son, and all, they all help. I've had kids who helped me since they were like 7 years old, 16 years old now. And a young man helped me this time. He came to my house. He can't find a job. He said he didn't participate in the riots. He's stopped going around with that crowd looking for a job. I sent him upstairs in my Diamond Mall. So I told him, come help me with the cleanup. He was at my house at 7. We started before 8 with the cleanup. And the other thing is, in the back of 10, on the side of 1022 Alamo, there's no lights. That's Rosemont Dukeland Apartments. It's a playground there and their parking lot. It's pitch black there. And the dead end of the 3200 block of Westmont, 3200 block of Normont, and 3200 block of Belmont. At the end of that block is Hilton. It's a dumping ground. And I don't know what we can do about that. It's just people have just been dumping and dumping. The other thing is Alamo. From the 3200 block of Westmont to Alamo to North Avenue, it's a lot of crimes happening there that I know you, Commissioner, you don't even know about. I came from church in the afternoon, like 2:30, and tried to rob my pocketbook. But it's a lot of things. I know I had another neighbor, her grandson was beat up twice. Even Pam's son was coming down Alamo from work, and 2 guys stopped in a car, told another guy, if you pay me $20, I'll beat him up. It's a lot of things happen on Alamo that you don't know of. I'd just like some presence. And also the 3200 block of Westmont, a lot of vandalism of cars. And yesterday I was calling neighbors to tell them about this meeting. They told me Normont, vandalism of cars at night. So thank you. What you can do for us at Rosemont, we would appreciate.
Thank you very much. Do you want to speak to that, Commissioner?
It's those quality of life crimes, that really make people think about putting a for sale sign in their front yard. So all the crimes that you hear about in Baltimore and elsewhere that end up on the front page of a newspaper or make the 6 o'clock news, while they certainly demand our attention and they get our attention, it's those quality of life issues that everyone in here can think of 1 or 2 or 3 things that have happened to you that make you feel differently about your neighborhood. And you have my word, our word, that those issues will receive the same attention that we give to those those noteworthy incidents that tend to garner all the headlines. So I get it, and I appreciate you taking the time to come here tonight. And if you haven't met Captain Holman, he's a person you really get to know and help you through some of those challenges, man.
There were a couple, I knew I saw your hand, Mr. Hunt, and the young lady in the hat. Yes, sir, in the blue.
First of all, thank you, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and Commissioner Davis. I just came up to say that I appreciate you, and I think that you are doing everything possible to make the city a better place. We all know that it's not a format for this job as being a mayor. And, you know, I think on several occasions you have made the best possible call that you could make in some situations. You know, of course, everybody's not going to be satisfied all the time with every call that you make, but I just wanted to say that through me coming to another one of your forums and telling the testimony of my life, that you have assisted me and my colleagues. And I had a chance through your office to connected with the state's attorney's office and got a chance, the opportunity to speak to a group of children at several schools, and also spoke to a reentry committee for ex-offenders. And I just think that sometimes the guys that's on the corner, the ex-offenders that's coming out of prison, I think sometimes they want to play a role too. And your office assisted me having the opportunity to feel like I'm a part of the solution, not the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I see your hand, Ms. Smith, but I know that there was on to Mr. Hunt, and there was a hand over to the lady in the hat. I just want to make sure we're coming back around, but I just want to make sure I get folks on this side as well.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioner. I wasn't going to say anything, but Madam Mayor made a comment about the rec centers that are closed, whole district, that happen to be in our area. That makes things bad for public safety. I'm sorry. My name is Robert Hunt. I'm from the Rosemont area. Madam Mayor, Commissioner, we have to do something to help our youth. Our youth also need to communicate with the adults because it needs to be a two-way street. So the people that don't have the say-so, we need to be able to work with them so that we can speak up for them. And I've been speaking up trying to get something in Rosemont because we had three rec centers. Like you said, they all closed. As far as policing, Commissioner, Rosemont is western and southwestern. I had a couple of incidents where, like Central Baptist, a police officer showed up. Oh, I can't write up this, that's southwestern. Or I can't write this up, this is western. If the police, when I went to Glencoe, we learned to do certain things certain ways. If you show up, you're supposed to write it up.
I think you're right. I know you're right.
So there's certain things that have to be addressed, and I'm glad that you're dusting off some of the things that did work, but I just had to mention that you need to address that issue, because if we don't work together, we're going to fail together. So again, thank you.
So nothing on the patch that I've seen says Southwest District or Western District. So I get that.
That has happened to me.
Yeah.
We agree with you.
Yeah,
We're agreeing with exactly what you said.
I agree. So, sometimes police officers think that they only work in a district. They work in a city, and they're assigned to a district. So, our young police officers make the most mistakes, and it's a common one, and it's something that just requires our leadership to keep reminding folks.
And I'd like to also congratulate Colonel Robinson, because his programs are starting to come together that we have talked about, so thank you.
I did a couple of things tonight.
You're pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, he has all the ideas. Well, we had, and speaking of taking things off the shelf, we had to take Colonel Russell off the shelf and dust him off a little bit. But he's got the ideas.
Before you start, I just wanted to say to Mr. Hunt, when I'll try to give you the short version. When I became mayor, I thought it was important to do an evaluation of our recreation centers, and I was not pleased with what I had heard and what I had seen, and I knew that it was important to do a comprehensive review of the centers, and I did that with the help of community leaders from throughout the city. And they went to every single recreation center that we had, gave them a grade on the structure itself, the facility, the program, and the usage, all of those things. And it was the consensus from the group was that we needed, just like we're working to improve our school facilities with the 21st Century Plan, the consensus of the group is that we needed to do the same thing with recreation centers. And just like with the 21st Century Plan, the plan consists of some right sizing and some planning for facilities of the future. So there were some recommendations for closures, but there's also a plan for building new first-class centers. Over a year ago, I put forth a piece of legislation that would allow us to really fast-track the building of first-class recreation centers throughout the city. And just like with the 21st Century School, it's not the end, it's the beginning of a plan to transform recreation in our city. I was very pleased with that plan. The piece of legislation would require selling some of our old parking garages, which would give us between $40 and $60 million to really fast-track that work. That bill has been sitting in the City Council without a hearing, really without a reason that there hasn't been a hearing. So my hope is that the same way that you've been vocal with me about your desire to have more when it comes to recreation, that you are vocal with the leadership of the council as well, because I would love to see some movement with that bill. I mean, I think democracy doesn't require agreement, but democracy should not allow holding a piece of legislation hostage because you can. And I think the bill deserves a vote. If they agree that we should sell them, vote yes. If you don't agree, vote no. But not having a hearing should not, in a city that values democracy, should not be an option.
Yes, ma'am. And it was a lady in a hat. The lady in a white hat. Oh. There's a chair up here. The reason I asked that you come up is because the time is limited, and as soon as we finish with this question, we can go directly into your question. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Ms. Smith from Tremont Community Association, and I've been the president there for 31 years. It's a thankless responsibility, and no one wants it. But I'm here to thank you, Mayor Rawlings-Blake, for your Class A professionalism that you've demonstrated during your tenure and the example that you offer us. I also thank you, Commissioner Davis, for taking on the responsibility of this town. In the area where I live, we're talking about the Frederick Avenue corridor, from Loudon Avenue up to Rock Glen. It's a heavy drug area there. We've had 3 homicides this summer already. In Tremont, we have like a half a dozen boarded up houses. We've never had boarded up houses before. I spoke with Blair Griffith from the Department of Housing courts. And he's limited, you know, we have to wait for certain periods of time for the banks to take over and all. But I don't want it to be forgotten because the squatters are using these places for their activities, and one of them was set on fire. So we need help with that. We also have, oh, I know. Will we be getting Major Conaway back with us? Because what happens is when we lose majors and commissioners, then we have to start all over again. And it looks like nothing's being done for years because that's what's happening. So do you think we'll get him back? Because he was starting to help us a lot.
I know you'll get him back. So you're aware of the incident that he was involved in, and he was out in the community, actually on his way to a community meeting when it occurred. So when that occurs, there's a process. So that the same process that police officers go through when they're involved in a similar incident is the same process that majors are subject to as well. So we're working with the state's attorney's office, and when we get to that point where we need to get to, absolutely, positively, you're getting him back.
Oh, okay.
And believe me, I hear from folks in the Southwest all the time about Major Conaway. So I know, there's the amen corner. I got you. He's wonderful. And he's an up-and-comer in this organization. He's got a very, very bright future. He'll be in this city 10 years from now, and he's on the right path. And he's a crime fighter and a community ambassador, and that's exactly what we all need. So he's coming back.
Okay, so can we get more presence on Frederick Avenue, between Loudon and Rockville, especially in the 49?
Was it Rockville or Rock Glen?
Rock Glen, I'm sorry. Especially, I won't say especially, but the 4900 block is where the main problems are, and I can talk to you about that.
So, and the other half of that dynamic duo in the Southwest District is Captain Holman, and he's here tonight too. Yeah, he's staying. He's here.
Yeah, another thing too, and I don't want to take up much time, but there are yellow lights before and after the Beachfield School. They have not been on since they installed them, and that's been a couple of years. And I understand that the thieves will take the batteries out of the bottom because it's the same battery that you use in a car.
Yeah.
But we have to figure out some kind of way that they can't get in there.
To secure it.
There is a large intersection at Frederick and Beachfield, and the cars just zoom through on the red lights, and the kids are out there. So we need your help with that, and I thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you
Smith.
very much, Ms. Smith. Did you want to speak to that, Commissioner?
No, we will address that as well. That's a public safety issue, and we'll
Yes,
make sure
ma'am.
it gets
I
fixed.
tell you.
We're gonna go to the young woman that's
And then
standing with the hat,
exactly.
and then we'll go to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi.
I live basically around the corner from where this lady was just speaking of, a little bit up from Beachfield. It's actually off of Chapelgate and Frederick Road, and it's up in the cut. My apartment complex is called Coventry Manor. It's right next to the Good Samaritan Women, if you're familiar with that. Anyway, it's off in the cut, so our problem back there is poor maintenance. I'm pretty sure we all have mold, and we don't have any snow plowing coming through because our streets are so small. So, also we have car vandalism, theft, parking lot prostitution, CDS distribution. There's no patrol, no rounds, and when you do call the police, the response time is poor because they can't find us because we're in the cut.
Is it Coventry Manor?
Coventry Manor. It's if you come down Frederick Road, just a little bit past Beachfield, if you turn on Chapelgate, it's up in the cut. It's literally off to it's behind Yale Heights. So you don't know we're there unless you live there. So it's
Captain,
just
we
because
can
we're
do-
in the cut, we don't have anybody back there to protect us. We don't even have a camera.
So let's do a walk and talk back there.
And I'm trying to understand, this is a apartment complex?
Yes, they're privately owned.
So that's another thing, when we come out there, we have to meet with the management company, because you talked about snow removal and things like that. So if it's a privately owned apartment complex, that's the responsibility of your...
Sage management.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I hear you, but in order for us to fix it, they have to be a part of the solution.
Okay. Also, I work down off Herkimer and Carey Street. We've had a large amount of shootings, and it's kind of hard to explain to my kids why we're on lockdown. And the drug usage, the CDS, the vacant housing, the squatters, the prostitution is now going on inside of all of those vacant houses. And our children play in the park. So it's just like they're doing it right in front of our faces. They don't even care. So we don't have, I know it's police that, it's a lot of police units in that Cary area, but they're not policing. It's almost as if they're just turning a blind eye to it. So I would hate for something bad to happen, for the police to have to intervene, but I feel like that's where it's going. We're to the point now we can't even take the children outside to play because it's so many.
I'm just trying to get a visual.
Do you know where MTA is on Washington Boulevard? That big park right there?
Carroll Park. And that's Southern,
Carroll
right?
Park, yes.
Okay.
Yes, so,
I'm just trying to make sure. I was just like, I thought that. I'm just trying to make sure that we...
Southwest Baltimore Charter School, but it's also other schools around in that area, and it's just the shooting now. It's just ridiculous. And my other concern is that I work in corrections, so of course the kids see me in my uniform all the time. So when something goes wrong, they'll come to me, but when the police come to patrol the area, they won't go talk to the police because they're scared of them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, when I was younger, we had PAL, we had school police who came in, and that's how I got my rapport with them, and that's probably why I'm so active in corrections now. Mm-hmm. I don't see any police officers coming into my school. So if something happens, the kids aren't gonna run to you if we get a shooter or something, they're gonna come for the people that work there. So I would like for the police to come into the school and talk to my kids, because they're scared. So, yeah, I just see a whole bunch of units just doing nothing. I live off Frederick Road, so they do sit down there, but they're just not doing anything. They're not policing. So I'm wondering, my question for you, Mr. Davis, is, are they conducting rounds? How do you know? Do they have a round sheet, a log entry? And are the supervisors conducting rounds to make sure the officers are patrolling?
Right. So I can't talk you out of what you have seen, and I'm sorry that you've seen that, and we need to do better, and we need to get out of our police cars to do police work. So
right.
I do look at measurables every day. I do look at the number of guns seized, and you'll be glad to know perhaps that our gun seizures are up dramatically, so that's one measurement of, are we getting out and making contact with the right people? But it sounds like we have some work to do in your particular community. So I'd like to do two things. Number one, hook you up, and Captain, invite me, please, to walk this area from the Frederick Avenue corridor on down to where you live. So I'm interested in seeing what's going on there. Okay. And then the second thing is, there's no doubt in my mind that you would be a great police officer.
Yes, I've been working in corrections since I graduated high school. I'm 27 now.
Well, now's probably a good time for a career move. And as soon as you said when you said CDS, I said, she said CDS.
Oh, I'm a PCO.
I know, but
So,
thank you.
yeah.
I mean, and really, it punches me. And, you have kids, and they see that, and they shouldn't see that. So I'm really interested in taking a look, because I can't get a mental.
Yes. Do y'all know where that skate park is down?
We know
on the side of
exactly where
Carroll
you're
Park?
talking about. We just the commissioner wants to say he wants to come out and see it.
I want to see it.
Okay, and just on my last, that was it for you, Commissioner Blake, just get the police enforcing. And my last concern was for you, Stephanie Blake. I heard you speaking earlier about effectively using our resources. I've got a ton of inmates ready to go out on detail if you need them to come clean up those PAL centers, to reopen them. We can utilize those resources, take them out on detail, and it saves money.
Yeah, so with respect to the PAL centers, the focus is when we did evaluations of the way PAL was implemented in the city years ago, what we found was we had officers that are trained to be officers running, basically trying to run recreation centers. What we've tried to do is to, instead of getting officers off of the street running recreation centers, but to put them in, the officers in our existing recreation centers. We have partnerships with recreation and parks where officers are doing mobile recreation, so they're being a part of in communities where there aren't recreation centers, going out with the vans, playing basketball and things like that with the young people. We're also getting them involved. The commission had a basketball league that took place that he held at several recreation centers where the officers, instead of being responsible for running the center, they were being officers as participants in the center in a consistent way. We also have a partnership with Chesapeake Bay Outward Bound that has a program that we're working to expand that is really an ongoing program where the young people get to participate in Outward Bound. The officers get to participate. Outward Bound is a model that really helps break down barriers and build connections through people participating in.
Yeah, I did it when I was
Yeah,
younger.
so you get it. So it's not that we're not in disagreement about the need for more engagement of police officers and our young people. It's a matter of how, not if. And that the models that I'm trying to continue to implement gives officers a chance to use to operate at their strength and not rec management, but actually to spend time with our young people.
Understandable. I would just like
Absolutely.
to see more of the city involved with getting help for our offenders because I work in corrections. So, for them to want to come out and work and have something to do, even if it's road crew, we have to go and babysit them while they're cleaning up those parks that my kids play at, or if they need to come out and go clean out some old PAL centers. BCBC is closed now. We have all of these inmates everywhere just doing nothing, and they want to go outside, they want to work. And while I could be babysitting murderers and, paying attention to people with more important charges, I can't because the jails are overcrowded because you're locking up young people. So now I got to babysit them and murderers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that the data doesn't bear that out when it comes to the number of arrests. I was a public defender for almost 10 years. I get it, that we're not going to arrest our way out of the problems that we have. That's why that if you take a look at the actual numbers of arrests, the data reflects that the number of arrests have gone down under my administration because we're focused on our most violent offenders. Does it mean we're not arresting anybody? No, it doesn't mean that. But to suggest that we're focused on just arrests, for the numbers' sake is not accurate because we've been focused on reducing arrests, reducing the amount of individuals who are live with the lifelong challenges of having a record, and focused on those individuals who are set on death and destruction in our communities, and that's what the numbers reflect that.
Yeah, it just looks different. I'm on the inside and outside, so. But
well, inside or outside, the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah, I guess. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Smith from West Hills. Ms. Smith, you are sitting, you and your husband are sitting I see your husband right at this beam, so I cannot see you, but Westgate.
It's Westgate.
Westgate, I'm sorry, Westgate.
It's Westgate from the Edmondson Park.
Got you.
The city map says Westgate, and it's Frederick, and it's not right. Have a few things, sorry. I'm very glad to have you on board as the commissioners, and I'm here. I appreciate your work. Thank you. When Dr. Nunley said you were going to come around to senior centers to talk to people, we were excited. But we don't have a senior center. And when Wayne talked about New Psalmist and Gundry Glass and stuff. Well, we really have an idea that that property, since we can't move Edmondson Village, that we turn our focus around to Gundry Glass and New Psalmist, and we give a senior center, we give a new fire station, because we're going to need more fire stuff when we have more houses, and we get a new police building for Southwest, because it really sucks. I've taken the tour, I've been in the jails, I've looked at the records, the former jails. I know that they don't have the equipment or the space. When we go to pack the Christmas baskets, there's no parking, we're parking in the grass. We could do a lot better to help. So that was one thing for the new Psalmist and for our senior center. The other thing is, when I read the paper and I see all the overcrowded schools, like Roland Park and all the places in Hampstead and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, we have a school we want developed into a STEM or college-based kind of school. It's empty. Right now it's being a float space for Frederick and Lyndhurst, but we want to have a school that our people will send their kids to. As soon as our kids get to be 4.5, these people move.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived in my house for 41 years, my husband and I have. And we've watched it on, as soon as the kid gets 4.5, they're out of here. Because a block away, county. County has brand new schools, 750 capacity, air conditioning, better program. They have buses and all this kind of stuff. And we have nothing. We're carpooling to Roland Park. We're carpooling every place else we can. We've gotten very religious to go to those kind of schools. And what we're seeing is our property values are going down. You've raised the tax rate, but the property values are going down, so you're not getting money from us.
Let's just back it up. I've reduced the property tax rate on a consistent basis more than any administration in the past 20 years.
I thank you. However, the value of my house is now
That's different than what you.
$100,000
That's different
less.
than what you said. You said I raised the tax rate, and I hate to disagree since you've been so complimentary.
I know you lowered the tax rate.
Okay.
But our property values
No, yeah,
are
I get
going
it.
down.
I got it.
And that's, it's like, if they do the numbers of how many kids are in our neighborhood to go to those schools, they're not going to find them there because we're not going to that school. We don't have any school that we want to send our children to. Not when it gets 30% pass rate. The other thing. I agree with some of the people that have talked about houses that are abandoned. We have, I have documentation of all the emails and stuff we've tried for abandoned property. We have squatters that we've moved out twice, right? Where's Larry? We've moved out the squatters, we've had fires, they've jerry-rigged the electricity so they can stay there. And it's like, we can't get rid of them. We've got dumping, we got rats, and now even the community is starting to dump their stuff there because nothing happens. If the code people come, the trash people come, housing come, they see the problems, but we're stuck with it. And this doesn't help the community. So I can give you the reference because it's got the 311 calls and everything else.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. With respect to your concerns about the schools, I agree that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. That's why I fought so hard with many people in the community for over $1 billion in school construction so we can improve the facilities. I think it's you mentioned people in your community moving out when the kids turn 4 because they're, new schools in the county. I think the goal is to be able to have improved schools and new school construction in the city to be able to compete with those schools. At the same time, support the work of the school system to improve the performance in the classroom. When I spoke to Mr. Jackson earlier, I talked about the additional money that we're putting for out-of-school time, so we can do what we can to support the learning in the classroom, and certainly working with the school board and the school CEO to do that. with respect to that property. You have a good relationship with Mr. Nunley, and I know that you filled out that form, and I encourage everybody to fill out the questionnaire. I will make sure that Gus will make sure that we follow up with those properties. I'm not sure if you've had conversations with Department of Planning about your concept, the concept of Westgate around what to do with that property, but we can certainly follow up with that. And thank you for that. Gus, I think you had an announcement about our usage of this space for this evening.
Well, I just wanted to again acknowledge Ms. Coldweber, the principal, and folks, it is like 9:14. We are beyond our time here, and this is a budget issue for the school principal, for the school. Thank you for letting us use the facility, but I wanted to go ahead and
I'll say
defer
this.
to you, Madam Mayor.
I'm grateful for everyone
closing.
coming out. I wish we had unlimited time. What I will say is that everyone, if you did not get the survey, please raise your hand. We'll get a survey to you. We'll collect them so we can follow up. If you weren't able to have your question answered, my team will follow up. I want to thank, I saw him earlier. I don't see him anymore.
Neil?
Yeah, where did he?
He's here.
Where?
Neil Janey.
Oh, there you are. I'm sorry. Mr. Bilal's head was blocking you. I'm not saying you had a big head or anything, sir. I'm just saying I couldn't see him. But I want to thank Neil Janey Jr., who's here, our new Director of Public Safety and Criminal Justice. And again, I want to thank you all for being here. And please, please, please pass in your survey so we can follow up with your questions. Thank you again.